Hey everyone, this is Casual Fanatic.
Film reviews without the shoes.
I'm Luca, your casual viewer.
And I'm Cayman, your fanatic. I almost last second forgot what I was supposed to say.
Like, oh,
I was like,
I'm here to. Well, what's up?
just living the life.
Living life.
Probably
Living his life. That's it.
How was that party yesterday?
Dude, yeah, I went to a birthday party yesterday. It was like, because you turned 28, so it was 20 Fate themed. And so you got there, and then, like, you got, like, these note cards that only you could see. And then throughout the night, you were supposed to do whatever was on the note card without getting caught.
Yeah.
And if you catch someone doing whatever was on their note card, then you get a point or something like that. As like kind of like
You
a game.
get most points?
You get well, technically you don't get anything, but I think what they said was that you get to slap John on his butt at the end of the night. So
What was your card?
mine was hold on, let me just read it verbatim. Sit/stand, like someone just told you to quote unquote act normal, very uncomfortably. And then there was another one that I took a picture of. Tell a group of at least 3 strangers how you used crystals to align your chakra.
Oh, God.
But dude,
I feel like that one's way harder to get away with. I would call someone out immediately if they did that.
so look at all these notes. These are all different tasks. I took pictures of them because I thought like some of these were just hilarious. But I did catch a chick doing one on me. Weird. She did her task on
Did one on me.
she did a task on me, and she was like, she like crawled underground, like from behind me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to untie my shoelaces, but apparently my shoelaces were way too tight for her, so she couldn't get a releasing. And I like felt something on my feet, and I like looked down, and I saw her like kind of like crawling away. I was like, did you just do your card trick? So I caught one person.
That's hilarious. Maybe she thought because you were taller, it'd be harder for you to see the ground.
Maybe, maybe, but it was a good time. And then after that, we walked to some dive bar that I'd been to once before, and it was filled to the brim. And then lo and behold, there's like a whole group of people in there that I already know, my volleyball friends.
Interesting.
That I don't like always like. I don't hang out with them outside of volleyball. They're just like my volleyball friends that I have. And then I found out that 3 of them were moving away.
Dang.
Within like, one is moving on Friday, and the other one was moving on Monday.
Okay.
And then the other one some other time, but crazy. I was like, I would never have known if I didn't come here and see you. We would just been gone,
Wild.
right? But anyway, how was your yesterday / this morning, I guess? But we just woke up, so
Chill.
sure. Nice.
We're just hanging out.
Yep. I asked him to go to this party with me. He said no, so he left me hanging, bro.
I was just feeling like I just wanted to like be a couch potato.
Lame.
I sat here and I watched TV and I was on my phone for a bit. I played some Overwatch.
That's a good night. Oh yeah. Cool. Well, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about the 2016 movie Arrival, directed by Denis Villeneuve, who some of you may remember from the Dune movies, as well as Blade Runner 2049, directed both of those as well. Written by Eric Heiserer, that's a difficult last name, and based on a novel by Ted Chiang. Stars Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, and Forrest Whitaker. It had an estimated budget of $47 million and has made a little over $212 million. So pretty successful movie.
Very successful movie, yeah.
But yeah, what did you think about Arrival?
I thought it was great. I had a great time watching it. Loved the storyline. Loved how like mysterious it was, but then also like made you think. It was like really cool environment too to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. It was really good. I can't believe I hadn't seen it. I was like, this is like totally down my line of movies that I would like.
Yeah.
Of like aliens and space and contact and It was so sick. It was such a good movie. What'd you think of it?
I thought that this, I think I mentioned this before, probably on some of our other Villeneuve movies, but every movie that he directs, I'm like, top notch. Like, just the way that he tells a story, I think is very good. And he's like, the people he chooses to work with like, as far as like the writers and like the composers, like the music on this was really nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just good shit.
Yeah, through and through it was good. Start to finish. Nice. I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess if you want to give them a spoiler warning, then we'll go into the summary.
We can do that. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else in between, this is your spoiler warning. If you don't want the movie spoiled, just don't listen. Yeah, go watch it and then come back. Go.
You're making me nervous with the coffee on the pillow.
I know, dude. It's so hot.
Just don't spill it.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna spill.
You're gonna spill it.
Dude, this fucking cup is boiling.
Yeah, I mean, I just boiled the water.
I know, dude. Holy smokes. Anyway, can't have it yet.
Okay, well, Arrival starts with a professor of linguistics named Dr. Louise Banks. She is teaching a class, and some breaking news comes over the airwaves that 12 unknown objects have appeared at various points around the globe, obviously because it comes to light very quickly that none of the governments know what they are, so everyone's like, oh, well, these must be spaceships then.
Right.
And so Dr. Banks is approached by a
Military.
yeah, some sort of military officer. I don't really know what his like full title is, but says that they have made contact with the creatures inside, but obviously they don't speak Earth languages, so they need her help to try and figure out what these aliens are saying. So they bring her out to the site in Montana, along with I believe he's a physicist, named Ian last name.
That's his name.
Yeah. Basically, the biggest chunk of the movie is them speaking back and forth to these aliens and trying to figure out their language and translating. And then as the movie goes along, we see Dr. Banks is having memories of a daughter that she lost to. I don't think they specify what the disease is called, but she said it's uncurable. So she had a daughter die, and we keep seeing her like having flashbacks from this, but then learn later in the movie that they are not actually flashbacks, and she is remembering the future because the way that the alien language works, there's like not any time involved, and so in the process of learning their language, she is also like learning to see outside of time. And
That's just such a crazy theory to come up with in a movie, which I thought was so sick.
And ends up coming to a head at a point where the Chinese government is about to attack the aliens, but because Dr. Banks is like non-linear now, she like remembers a time in the future when she talked to the head of the Chinese government, and he told her that she stopped him from making the attack, and gives her the information that in the past she then uses to contact him and stop the attack.
Yeah.
And so manages to save the day. There's no attack from or at the aliens, and they leave, and everyone's better off for it.
Yeah. Everyone across the world kind of like then works together, right? I feel like that was like the whole point of the movie, to get all the nations to not like keep things from each other, but to work together as a team.
Right.
And
because there's the big down point in it, because there's like science teams at each of these sites, and they have like this massive screen where everyone's talking to each other, and then at a certain point, like China and Russia drop off of the group call, And so then everyone else starts freaking out. And then the higher ups in America are like, we should probably drop off too. And then everyone, and so it's basically like people stop talking to each other, and that causes the biggest problem. And so, like, I guess, moral of the story is unity and like working together, and that things are better when we share resources and information and things like that, rather than trying to like use it as an advantage against other people.
Right. Yeah, because the aliens said that they're one of 12, right? So there's 12 pieces to the puzzle, and to put everything together, you got to work as a team.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a short break, and then we'll come back for some deeper thoughts.
Let's do it. And we're back.
And we're back. I guess the first thing that I like really took notice of is because when the news comes over, one of the students in her classroom is like, "Can you turn the TV onto a news channel?" And I was like, I've never been in a classroom that had a working TV.
No, ever.
They usually have like a projector.
Yeah, like, and somehow she like slid it out of the back of her whiteboard or blackboard or whatever.
That was pretty cool. I feel like more people should do that.
I agree. I'm like, I've never been to a college
like-
one where they've ever had anything like that.
Is the college paying for cable for like all of these classrooms?
For fun.
They're like, just in case you need it.
Yeah.
In case you want to watch TV in the middle of class.
Yeah. Which is funny because I didn't know exactly what this movie was about. And when I watched it, I didn't see any trailers, didn't really know anything. And when the teacher was like calling on the students, like, where is everyone? Because no one was in class. And then people were like on their phone and it started.
Yeah, like everyone started getting notifications and stuff.
Yeah. And she was like low-key annoyed at it. And I was like, girl, I'm right there with you. I know exactly how that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, then stuff kind of hit the fan, which was crazy. It was nuts.
I will also say, so actually before the classroom scene, we get an intro that basically goes through the life of her child, and we see, like, not the whole life, but like we get bits and pieces of moments of her like hanging out with her kid and like having a fight at one point, and then we see them in the hospital, and obviously her daughter doesn't make it. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes like KK told me that this movie was kind of slow.
Yeah.
And then the first thing that I see is like it going through the whole life of this like mother-child relationship. Yeah. I'm like, this is not slow at all. It's the fastest movie I've ever seen. But yeah, I think it was a really good intro to kind of build like that relationship between mom and daughter, and already get you kind of like emotionally attached to her, the mother.
I agree.
Because you could tell like she's really trying, she's really hurting, stuff like that. So
it also perfectly sets up for the reveal later, because that whole sequence is the first thing you see, we automatically assume that it's in the past. And so then as the movie's going along, every time she's having these memories, you just assume like, oh, she's just dealing with the trauma of losing her child.
I did.
Right. And then there comes a moment where she's like talking to the aliens and she's like, who is this kid? And then you're like, oh.
Yeah. And it's funny, I'll skip to like the very end of the movie almost, but it hangs in part with this child, because the physicist that she's on this job with is the one that will father this child.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was interesting, the choice that they made of like her being like, yes, I want this child.
Yeah. And
although she knows the whole future.
We find out that they ended up getting a divorce because she told Ian about what was going to happen with their daughter, and he got mad that she would knowingly like get into that situation.
Right. But then I guess to avoid that, at the end she also asked him, she was like, hey, if you knew your whole life, would you change anything? And I think he said no.
He said he didn't say yes or no. He said I would probably say what's on my mind more often.
So do you think that she'll change that future? No,
I don't think so. I think she's
they're getting the voice.
Like, even though I know all of the pain that's ahead of me, it's worth it for all of the happy moments.
Right. Dang. It's steep. Steep. One thing that I thought was interesting about the movie was that, like, although a lot of things were happening, I would say, it was very repetitive almost. Like a big chunk of the movie, like you said, was them trying to make contact with aliens and coming back and sitting in like the,
We do see the like how quickly they start to progress in their like the first time they go in, they have no fucking clue what's happening. And then the first time they get one of those symbols, it like opens a whole new door, and then pretty soon we see they've like developed this whole system for analyzing like all of the little bumps and curves to see what the symbols mean. And then by the end of it, they've got like a big digital screen where they can make their own symbols to talk back to the
which is so sick.
It was real cool.
I mean, it's just awesome. Which I thought was interesting. So like the book that she had written, which was like, I don't know what it was called or titled anymore, but she had written a book that has that.
It's like the universal language or something.
I think you're right. Yeah, the universal language. I think that it's interesting that she didn't recall the fact that she has something like that in the book. The swirl with like the splotchy looking whatever.
I think because she wasn't able, like learning the language is what allowed her to see the future. And so she wouldn't have been able to see that until she had learned it.
Oh wait, so the book was in the future?
Yes.
Oh.
She wrote a different book. She wrote 2 books. She wrote a book after the movie about the alien language. She wrote a book before the movie happened. That's just like a normal linguistics book.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought like the aliens were trying to like talk to her. So before like that big reveal of like, oh, she's actually seeing the future, I had thought that the aliens were like connecting to her brain and like talking through her dreams and her past, like showing her things that she needed to know to then be able to talk with them.
Yeah, it's not the aliens aren't doing it, the language is doing it.
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize that. But
so that, yeah, I guess that's another point is they briefly mention it. There's something called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which is more generally called linguistic relativity because, first of all, there were a lot more people working on it than Sapir and Whorf, and also those 2 people didn't even work together.
Yeah.
But it is the idea that your language affects the way that you think. So like because different languages have different ways of expressing concepts, like someone who like only speak, or not even only, it's really just like your native language. So like someone who grew up speaking German just has a completely different thought process than someone who grew up speaking English. Because the languages have different ways of formalizing thoughts.
I'm right there with you.
Formulating?
Yeah.
Formalizing is not a word.
Could be.
But like there are some languages where like they don't have a word for green. Like green and blue are the same color in their language. And so someone who speaks that language wouldn't see those colors differently.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
They're all colorblind.
Or like in a different way, like I think I saw something online, I don't remember what language it is, but like there's a language where they have 2 different words for blue. So like in English, we would say dark blue, light blue, sky blue, baby blue, but we're using the same word. Right. But like they have, like for them, there are 2 types of blue and they're separate colors.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in German too. I can't think of any currently, but where I've come across trying to like explain to KK because she's trying to learn German, like what it means or what it is, and there's no word in the English language for it.
Yeah.
And then I have to like work my way around it using like 50 other words to explain this one thing. And the same reverse in German. I feel like it's, I don't know. Language is so cool. And then this one really fucking hit differently just because time is, what they say, linear to them? No, not linear. It's non-linear.
So like there is no future and there is no past.
Yeah.
It's all just there.
Yeah. And they're just kind of like going wherever they want.
Yeah.
And then they said that they're gonna need the humans' help in 3,000 years.
So like they understand the concept of the future. It's just like that's not how they see the world.
Right. They're like, in 3,000 years, we're gonna need your help.
So we're helping you now.
So we're helping you now. But then I'm like, I guess what's the overall story? Like trying to get all the nations to work together, actively.
Because it would be hard for humanity to help an alien civilization if we can't even like work together. Like,
True. Man, too bad there wasn't a part 2 of like 3,000 years later. How'd the humans help them? I feel like they were way more advanced. And the inside of their spaceship, let's just talk about that real quick, just because it's like a big part of the movie.
yeah.
Very interesting. You go in there and like gravity changes, and there's like a glass wall.
Yeah, we really like there's only 2 parts of the ship that we really see. There's like the part where the humans normally are, which is like this ripply, stony kind of texture.
Yeah.
And there's like there's no visible technology anywhere. Like it's just an empty room and this glass wall, and then on the other side of the wall is just like this blank space.
It is like, okay, so yeah, on the other side it's like super white
Right.
and cloudy and smoky, but then on the human side it's like dark and black and cold looking.
Yeah, it's almost as if like it seemed like the light, the smoke emitted light, because like even when Louise goes up in that like tiny little capsule, and then it starts filling up with smoke, and it gets brighter as it fills up with smoke. So I'm like, is the smoke lighting it?
Maybe. I don't know. I thought that was a very interesting part of the movie that I didn't quite get, I would say.
When she goes up alone.
She goes up alone, and then
I just thought it was weird. I was like, did they know that she would be able to survive in their atmosphere, or was that just like, hope this works?
right. I just don't know. And it looked like she was struggling for a little bit,
Yeah.
like at least adjusting to it, but I don't know. It was what was that scene even for? Like,
That was like the final step in her unlocking the language, I guess.
but why that way? I just don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. It was a really cool scene in the movie, and I enjoyed it a lot, but I just can't say I understood why it was there. I feel like it could have happened 16 other different ways
Well,
that would have done the same thing, but
I think it could at some point I think it would have happened in the normal room with the glass between them, but I think it's just as a part of the narrative there was the whole thing with like
the humans blowing them up or
them,
trying to.
yeah, them blowing up the room, and so the ship goes like higher in the air and is not normally accessible how they would access it, and so because they couldn't go into the ship the normal way, they had to send that little pod down.
Right. Which I thought it was interesting how fast the humans like adapted to the opening in the bottom every 15 minutes or something.
18 hours.
18 hours. Yeah. And then they had an alarm selling every 15.
It's open for 15, or the alarm was 15 minutes before the door opens. I don't know if they ever mentioned how long the door stays open, but it opens every 18 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I would have, if I was then, I would never have left after.
Just stay in there.
Stay in there, see what happens. What can happen? Besides you dying again.
I did think, because I will say this is like maybe the only alien movie I can think of that takes a diplomatic approach to first contact. Like I feel like most alien movies, like the first response is like shooting at them and bombs and jets and things like that.
Right.
And this is like, we got the jets on standby, but we're gonna try talking to them first.
Right, which is great.
Yeah.
Ooh, I also, the beginning of the movie, when she was like, the general came over to her when she was in, I guess, her office in the college, told her that we're not taking you with us. We just need you to tell us what this means.
Yeah.
Practically. She's like, well, I need to be there for it.
She's like, I can't do this with a recording. I would need to be there to hear it in person.
Right. And then the guy was like, okay, well, then we're going to go do this other guy. And she was like, ask him about this, and that.
The Sanskrit word for war.
Yeah. I liked when she went home and she was like talking to her mom. She was like, well, Mom, do I sound scared to you? Like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
That was another thing that sort of like makes you feel like her losing her daughter is in the past.
Yeah, right? Because it was so gloomy and sad the whole fucking.
And like her mom checking in on her, like, how are you doing? And
Yeah.
but I guess it also makes sense in the wake of an alien invasion. Like, yes, you would call a loved one if they lost a child. You would probably also call a loved one if there was a ship hovering outside.
Well, spare.
You'd
I
be
don't
like,
know,
are you okay?
But they definitely gave off the vibe
Yeah.
of like it having been in the past, which I think really helped the movie and like the secret reveal. But all I was gonna go to was like I loved that night when that helicopter came through and just like and like parked in her practically front lawn and was like, "You're coming here with us in 10 minutes." She's like, "Can I have
Also, I'm like,
15?"
is she affording that house on a teacher's salary?
Like that's another reason that I thought like, oh, like maybe she was like that the divorce and the child already had happened, because I'm like, well, in divorce, I guess like maybe it was half, maybe the guy was really rich. But that was a nice ass house, like lakefront
Yeah.
and huge looking. Damn. There was like very few like different scenes, I feel like, in the movie. Like you have the school scenes, you have her home scenes, then you have alien scenes, then you have the research.
Yeah, there's like the
ground
scenes
scenes.
in the ship, and then there's like in the tents that are next to the ship.
Yeah. And then at the very end, you have maybe one shot of the future party that all the nations are having together. I think so. I think that there's like 5 different areas that they're filming in.
I will say also, this is, I did find there appears to be a little bit of debate on this, but the majority consensus in the movie, they call the alien symbols logograms. I think they're really ideograms, which are slightly different than logograms.
Wait, explain that.
In the movie, the ring shapes that the aliens make, they say, oh, these are logograms, is what they call them in the movie.
Yeah.
But a logogram is a symbol that represents the smallest meaningful part of an idea, if that makes, like, morphemes, I think is the correct word. But like in the word unbreakable has 3 morphemes. You have the root morpheme, which is break, and then you have able, which modifies break, and un, which modifies break. And so a logogrammatic version of the word unbreakable would have 3 symbols, one for each of its parts.
Yeah.
But a ideogram is a symbol that represents an entire idea. So that would be one symbol just for the word unbreakable.
Oh, and you're saying because
the alien language,
it's like
their symbols, represent entire ideas, not just parts of them.
Guess we gotta email the director. That's more into the English language than I want to go, though.
I do like that we only see, like, when the news first breaks, they don't show us the TV. Like, we just see her reaction and her students' reaction. And then literally, like, until she arrives on site, we just get like faint little glimpses. Like, you'll see like a TV in the background, and it's like some people rioting in Venezuela, and you can kind of see the ship in the background, but you never get a clear view of it until she sees it. I thought that was I love a good build up like that.
Yeah, that's good.
I also think the safety suits, which Ian and Louise eventually stop wearing them, but those big orange safety suits, I think, are so visually striking. Like, they look basic enough to be believable as like standard issue whatever, but they're also like so they are so like they stand out from the background so much, because a lot of the like area is like dark and gray,
Bright orange.
and they're just these bright orange suits, and it's like
The contrast is just
the contrast, it just makes it so iconic to this movie. Oh no.
true. It kind of reminds me of like a 2001 Space Odyssey, how he has like that the red eye. And I feel like that was also like the contrast of like the black body and then the red eye. I feel like that's the same thing here. It's like bright orange and then black.
Also, the first time they enter the ship, they do like some very slow intentional dolly zooms, which I thought was really nice. Which I think we might have talked about this before. I don't remember what movie,
Just trying to think of the zooms. Like, where did that happen?
but it's like right when they jump off of the scissor lift.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But for the audience, if you don't remember or don't know, a dolly zoom is what happens. Like you either move the camera backwards and zoom in, or move the camera forward and zoom out. And so what it does when you have it pointed at a person is it keeps them visually the same distance from the camera, but it changes the field of view. It has been used a lot in movies. One of the most famous examples is Jaws, but more recently they also used it a lot in the show Severance. Every time the characters switch between their innie and outie, they do a dolly zoom.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I need to watch this freaking show. But I'm so far behind now.
It's
only
only 2
two
seasons.
It's over.
We gotta catch up before season 3.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm sure KK would watch it again. One of the most heartfelt moments also of the movie was when they like figured out. No, they didn't. I think they were being evacuated from the site because, you know, everyone was getting all bunched up because they thought an attack was about to happen, whatever. And the guy says to her, he's like, you know, it was like the most striking part of this whole experience. It wasn't meeting them, it was meeting you. And I was like, oh,
Max level Riz.
dude, Max over us. He's like, he like hits that post. Doom. I was like, damn, that's cute. The aliens don't even matter. It's you. Like, damn.
And then also after meeting the aliens, you did puke.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
They were like, they went up there the first time, and the military guy was like, you can start talking to them, and they didn't do anything. And then she was like, am I fired? And he was like, you did better than the last guy.
The guy that was carried out on the stretcher. Oh my gosh. I don't know. This movie also makes me wish that something like that would happen right now.
That would be so.
Just because, like, all the nations currently, I feel like, yeah, well, the U.S. is pitting them against everyone, unfortunately. And I feel like right now would be such a good time for this movie to come true.
I don't think something like this is going to come true anytime soon.
Why not?
But if anyone's looking for hope for possible life on other planets, I know there is currently a mission. I believe it's, I want to look this up before I say some bullshit. I believe it's called the Europa Clipper. Okay, the Europa Clipper was launched in October of last year. It should arrive at Europa in April of 2030.
Wow. Okay. 5 years?
Yeah. But there is...
They said 5 years to get to Jupiter?
Jupiter's a long ways away, dude.
You would think that the human technology is better now than to get there in 5 years. I mean, I know it's far away. I get it. But at the same 5 years?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Which also I think is really cool when we see at the end of the movie the ships leave. Bro, they don't like leave, they just like evaporate.
That's
It's like, that's cool.
yeah. I was like, wait, so like, is it a cloaking mechanism? That's what I thought of at first. I was like,
I guess they could just be turning invisible. I just assumed they were just like, that's how they trap. It's just like...
no, honestly, yeah. It could be.
Oh, sorry. But to finish my thought, there is a reason to believe, because of the things that have been observed on Europa, that under the surface is a lot of water. And because we know that life on Earth evolved underwater, there is a chance that there might be some microorganisms under the surface of Europa. And they have a lot of like plumes where I want to call them volcanoes, but they're not volcanoes because it's shooting hot water and not lava. But if one of these like geysers shoots some of that water up into the air and
can make atmosphere.
And the Europa Clipper, this satellite, can like analyze some of that as it flies through it, then we might be able to see if there's some life down there.
Oh, that'd be really fucking cool. Why can't they just land in the water?
Spaceships tend not to do very well in water.
Figure it out. Dang, that's nuts. That's pretty cool. I hadn't heard of that.
the scene that you mentioned earlier with the gala where she's talking to the Chinese president or colonel or whatever, is kind of like it definitely is a like a bootstrap paradox, but it also like fully embraces the paradox, which I feel like makes it not a problem, if that makes sense. Like I feel like if it didn't acknowledge it as much, it would feel like I would count that against the movie. But because it's like I fully understand that this doesn't make any sense, but we're gonna roll with it, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Sounds good.
I guess also for our audience, the bootstrap paradox is, at least there are different examples of it. The way that it was taught to me was like the example of if you could travel through time and you went back to Beethoven and gave him copies of his own music, then who wrote the music?
Right.
Because if he's just copying the stuff you gave him, he didn't write it. But then where did you get it from? Which I guess is like the same thing as,
I guess it could have been alternate realities, like alternate universes, and then you go to a different reality.
yeah, I guess if it's the multiverse kind of thing, then that works. But like so in the movie, she, like you mentioned earlier, she gets this message and phone number from the guy, but then the only reason that he's there is because she called him in the past.
Right.
And so it's like, well, then who started this chain?
You know?
Yeah. Just an interesting thing.
I thought of that too. That did come up in my thoughts when I was watching it. But then I was like, okay, well, I guess it could make sense if like the aliens were the ones that fed her that information, or if they like, I don't know. 'Cause she was also surprised that she had called him.
Yeah.
But then it was like in that was like in her future. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's just like too many levels. I don't know. My brain was like, yeah, the aliens gave it to her information wise. Because yeah, I mean, it was like, granted, at that time, I still thought that the aliens were like infiltrating her dreams and her memories to like give her information to use. I don't know. Very fun.
Yep.
I like the movies that are like provocative thought wise.
Yeah.
I don't have any more notes, unfortunately,
Oh,
or fortunately.
I also did not have any more notes. So I suppose we will move on to trivia.
Let's do it.
Ted Chiang, who wrote the story that the film is based upon, approved of the film, saying, I think it is the rarest of the rare that this is both a good movie and a good adaptation. The director, Denis Villeneuve, and cinematographer Brad Young call this movie dirty sci-fi. Villeneuve said he wanted it to feel like this was happening on a bad Tuesday morning, like when you were a kid on the school bus on a rainy day, and you dream while looking out the window at the clouds.
Jesus. I can see that. Oh.
Amy Adams was Denis Villeneuve's first choice for Louise. She agreed to the role within 24 hours of receiving the script.
Oh, wow. I wonder how often that happens. Of like, you get a script and you're like, yep,
I'll do it.
say less. And also, I wonder if they accept the script first and then they talk about payment, or if that's all in one. Like, there's a whole package you get of like, hey, you're gonna get this many monies. This is the script. This is your role.
Well, honestly, I'm sure that all gets handled by their agent. I don't think actors are negotiating their own salary.
Okay, that makes sense too. Well, then I'm thinking, I guess the agent then would see that, right?
Yeah.
And then wondering is when does that happen? And like from you getting the script to, joining on the set.
It's a good question.
Where does the money portion happen?
Yeah.
Is it money up front? And then like they just like, okay, yeah, sure, that works. Send us the script, we'll look at it.
I would imagine it's like, because obviously just saying yes doesn't mean anything. So it'd be like the director sends you a script, you're like, yes, I want to do that. And then it's like, okay, well, now you have to sign a contract.
Right.
And so before the contract gets signed, that's when all of the details have to get figured out.
Right. But then like for the movies where the script is like super secretive, right? You have to sign something prior to, no? To VA?
Right.
Or...
But that's just like, I'm looking at the script that I'm not going to tell anyone, but there would be a separate contract for actually being on the movie.
Gotcha.
The classical music piece that bookends the film is called On the Nature of Daylight by Max Richter, Its prominence during the film and the fact that it was a pre-existing track meant that Johan Johansson's score was deemed ineligible for an Academy Award despite being highly acclaimed.
That's so weird. Because it had already existed and they practically just used it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Oblivion, where they used M83's song. Is that kind of the same thing, or did they write that song for the movie? I think they wrote that song for the movie.
It was actually the same with they made the music for Dune 2 also was not eligible for an Academy Award.
Just because it had been already done prior to.
Because some of the music was also in the first movie. So they're like, that's pre-existing music. That's
nice. I guess I get it, but
okay. So during that the scene with it also says here General Chang is the Chinese war person. During the scene between him and Dr. Banks, he tells Banks that the message that she gave him to change his mind was his wife's dying words.
Yeah. And then what did she say in Mandarin? I didn't understand.
Well, the director opted to shroud the line in secrecy. The screenwriter was more than happy to reveal it at the Alamo Draft House Fantastic Fest. He said it translates to, "In a war there are no winners, only widows."
Oh, shit. So that's the last words that his wife said to him?
The screenwriter explained on Reddit, "I worked so hard on the dialogue in Mandarin for Denis, spent weeks crafting the lines that he finally approved of, and then the scoundrel goes and doesn't use subtitles in that scene. I guess there's something to be said about the nature of language, and I love Denis, but he's also a mischievous fox."
Fuck. Damn, that's some tea right there. He's not happy. That's true, though. I mean, like, I don't feel like I would have ever looked it up after the fact of whatever they said happened. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's something.
Yeah. I feel like knowing what they said isn't really crucial to the plot.
It's not.
And I feel like because the rest of the movie is so mysterious, you kind of just accept not knowing.
Yeah.
In the source novel, Hannah dies at 25 in a mountain climbing accident.
Who?
Hannah, Louise's daughter.
Oh.
And so instead of from a disease, she dies in a mountain climbing accident.
Where?
In the book.
Oh. I catch that part. It's like, what are you talking about?
This means that Louise knows well in advance of her death from something that is seemingly avoidable, but has come to accept its inevitability, which lends to a far darker tone to the story.
Damn. Yeah.
I feel like there's a big difference between I know my daughter's going to get sick, but I want to share this time with her versus I know she's going to have an accident, but I'm never going to say anything about it.
That's nuts. I guess you could...
A disease you can't avoid, but you could just tell her, maybe don't climb today.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, retard, we're going to do something as a family. I don't know, yeah. I guess maybe it's because, like, I think Marvel, did it, where it's like you can't change the future because it'll alter the past way more. Or the Doctor Who.
I think in the Marvel universe, time travel does work like what you mentioned earlier, where every time they travel through time, they're actually traveling to a different universe. So they can't change the future by changing the past, because when they change the past, they're changing a different universe's past.
Okay, well, what about Doctor Who? I know there's one of them, or with the phone booth.
Yeah, that's Doctor Who.
Yeah, that one. I think that one.
It's possible. I haven't seen every episode of Doctor Who.
I got you. Okay. I know there's something out there where practically if you alter the past, it also happens in Family Guy.
I think
With Stewie, they go in the past, they change something that like fucks up the present tense.
Yeah.
And like
kind of like
usually
also happens in Back to the Future. In Back to the Future 2, the antagonist gets a hold of a sports almanac from the future, and so is able to like successfully bet on every sports game, and so he just becomes like filthy rich.
Not bad. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Like if it's in the future tense, it doesn't matter, right? If you know something, you change it, or you just do something different. I guess it wouldn't matter. I don't know. I would have personally in the book saved my daughter, but that's fine.
Yeah, I think I stopped watching Doctor Who 2.5 Doctors ago.
Well, that's my recommendation for the day. Go watch Doctor Who. I liked the show a lot.
It's a good show.
I did. Yeah.
The crucial turning point occurs when it is revealed that the worldwide feared heptapod weapon, which opens time and that Louise now possesses, is in fact their language. However, this is foreshadowed at the start of the film when Ian and Louise are being flown to the site. He recites the preface to her first book on linguistics, saying, "Language is the foundation of civilization. It is the glue that holds people together. It is the first weapon drawn in a conflict." So in her earlier book, she calls language a weapon, and then we find out that the weapon that the aliens are giving them is their language.
Their language. Yeah.
In linear time, the film's final scene is Louise departing from the hospital room where Hannah died, which is immediately followed by its first scene, Louise's arrival at the university to find only a few students in her lecture room.
Oh.
So in this whole, yeah, like time is a circle concept, and literally in the movie, the last scene happens right before the first scene.
Oh, that's cool.
In the Italian edition of the movie, Abbott and Costello are called Tom and Jerry because Bud Abbott and Lou Costello are not well known in Italian culture.
Half your facts, honestly, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. Interesting.
You know Abbott and Costello?
No. I'm like,
You just thought they named them that for no reason?
yes. They're like, that's a good name, yeah. What, so is it like religious lore?
It's a famous comedy duo.
What the fuck? Hello? Why would anyone know that?
They're famous
Why are they famous? From what?
for being funny.
Okay, so is Dumb and Dumber.
Well, those aren't their names.
Is it not?
No.
Well, that's what I know them as. For some reason, when they said those names, I thought they were just like, it was like religious reference.
No, and I'm going to show you their most famous comedy skit when we're done here. But
Interesting. What did you think about the aliens in this movie?
I liked, because, I'm a sucker for not seeing things entirely.
Yeah, you are.
I thought it was cooler when they were just like going off screen and it's just like, you see, like, they almost look like hands, like they have joints, but then they also like kind of move like an octopus,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird. But
They
they'll
have
like,
like the spreading like hand.
yeah, like each of their tentacles also has like little tentacles.
Yeah.
I guess I can't even call them tentacles because they have knuckles. I don't know.
Right.
But I think towards the end, it did seem a bit odd to like suddenly see the full thing, and they like,
Was that odd?
I thought so. It made it feel more humanoid when I don't think it should have. Because it like, you have the little tentacle thing that they've been seeing at the bottom, and then it like goes up to this big base, and then there's like a tiny little head shape at the top. And there's no facial features, but like every time it shows them, it's like the camera is focused on the head part. So I'm like, is that their head? I don't know. It felt weird.
It was a huge head though. I mean, the thing was fucking.
I mean, yeah, but like compared to the rest of their body, because it was like their body goes like this, and then it's like, boop.
Really? I thought it was way bigger. I thought it was like even proportions throughout the whole body.
The head part was like smaller than the middle part of their body.
Gotcha.
Still big compared to it.
So you would have rather not seen the full thing.
Correct.
Interesting. I just think it was really fun that we were like in their whatever chamber they were in where they could just float away. And you do see it, but then you don't see anything else.
Right.
Or is there just two of them in there? Like, how big is the inside of this thing?
Each ship only has two of them, but they never show like how.
And then at one point they were like, "Oh, where's whatever Costello?" And they're like, "He's dead" or something like that. He's gonna kill himself.
Well, no, he died from the explosion.
Huh.
Because this
Stupid idiot
like
soldier.
rogue group, yeah. There's like in the base listening to conspiracy theorists.
Fucking Fox News.
Well, there's like some guy on YouTube who's just like in his basement, like, I think we need to give these guys a show of force.
I know.
And then
Those
they
stupid idiots went there and
like set up a bomb inside the entrance, and then just let Ian and Louise go back in there. They're like, fuck them, let them blow up.
yeah.
Wild. And then
I'm surprised that
the main military people, they're like, why aren't they responding to us? And they start going out there, and these fucking idiots like start shooting at the rest of the military.
very interesting.
Insane.
I feel like the squids knew that there was a bomb though, because like they like pushed it back before it was time wise going down. Like you could have just done that sooner and then like swam away and been alive, but you waited till like 2 seconds to do all that.
I think they just valued
The conversation.
yeah, they're like, because I mean, like, Louise and Ian had, I don't know. I guess they could have like, let's not talk right now, come back later, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think they just wanted to like get the information as fast as possible, because like that is how they knew that they weren't actually talking about a weapon.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, she had that realization whenever she was back in base. It took her a while to digest that, but
Yeah, because they basically, because the gift that they wanted to give was their language, they basically, like, before the bomb exploded and all that, they were like, okay, here's all of it, and they just showed like basically a whole every word in their language
right,
for them to go back through and like figure out what all these symbols mean.
right. I like the movie.
But yeah, that was trivia.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll move on to Get Wrecked. I guess you already did your recommendation.
My wreck. Oh, it's your turn, brother.
I am going to recommend, I don't know if I've recommended this person before, but if you are into blacksmithing or just like seeing people work with their hands, there's a YouTube channel of a man named Alec Steele, coincidental last name as it were, but he has very entertaining videos. He does a lot of stuff with Damascus steel. He recently made a video where he made Damascus steel with a pattern of four dicks pointing in opposite directions. It was fucking hilarious.
Damn, that's skill. Shit, that's cool.
Yeah, it's just fun to watch him do stuff.
Is that what you were doing last night? Watching some dude bang metal, make penises into the metal.
I was watching well, actually, the real
movie too, right?
Yeah. The
Was
movie.
that your first time watching it?
No, I'd seen it before.
Oh, okay.
I think this is only my second time seeing it though. I watched it when it came out, and then I watched it now.
Okay. Good wreck.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and tell your friends and family about us. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and hit the bell icon. Otherwise, leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. You can also follow us on Bluesky and Instagram at CashFanPod. If you want to send us a message, you can DM us, leave a comment, or send an email to casualfanaticpodcast@gmail.com. Links for all of that are in the description. Luke, why don't you tell them what kind of messages they can send us?
You guys can send us anything from movies that you would like us to review, shows you would like us to review, anything you liked that we did in the podcast, any cool like little features that you think we could add that you would think is fun for you as a viewer. Yeah, practically anything. Let us know what your thoughts are on the movies that we reviewed, and yeah, just leave a comment down below and let us know of anything that you think is pertinent, or if you just want us to know.
Did you say pregnant?
Pertinent.
If you know anything that's pregnant,
Let us know.
well, on that note, this has been Casual Fanatic. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. If you know anyone pregnant, let me know.